This mayfly, or as Mary calls it, a drake, is from Mary Orvis Marbury's book, Famous Flies and Their Histories. It is called the brown Caughlan. I'm tying it from the illustration in her book. I am using a number 14 hook. I'm going to save the tag end of my thread to split the tail. I would keep it on there, except that I need to put in a gold tag according to the illustration. So I do have a piece of gold silver mylar tinsel, tying it in with the gold side towards the hook. That way when I flip it, the gold side will show. So I'll put a few wraps of gold back down here around the beginning of the bend of the hook. I may cover that up a little bit when I put the tail in, so a little extra is okay. Catch that in, wrap up over the top of it. And I can clip out the extra. For the tail, I'm using 3 fibers from a pheasant tail. And it's a long tail, so if it's a little bit longer than a hook shank, that's fine. I'm going to tie those in with that piece of thread. So maybe I should tie that thread in first. I'm going to fold the thread so I have 2 strands of it going back. And I'll bring my thread up here where I can tie in the tail pieces. What I'm going to use that thread for is to split the tail. Try to get the distinct mayfly split in that tail. So now I'm going to just wrap the tail fibers and those 2 threads together down here to where I want that hook or tail to come off of the hook bend. I'll go ahead and clip out the butt ends now. Then I'm going to take a needle. It's actually the needle I also use for glue, but it works better than a bodkin because it's finer. And I'm going to split those 3 fibers if I can. The fibers from that pheasant tail have all those little like Velcro fibers on them, and so they don't like to split. They like to hang on to each other. So I'm going to split them apart, separate them. Then I'm going to take those 2 threads and I'm going to bring them up between those fibers if I can. Actually, I got that one in front, I'll put that one back there. Okay, so that one is between the back tail fiber and the middle. And then this one I'll bring up between the front tail fiber and the middle. And then I'm going to just pull up on those. Try to keep those tail fibers down. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up over the top of those 2 threads. And then what I can do is pull on the threads because they're not tied in tight. Try to get good separation. Okay, I've got good separation on the back one. See if I can get better separation on the front one. Okay, we're going to live with that. Go ahead and wrap those in, clip those off. Number of different ways to do that separation, but I want to keep those separated at the hook to keep them apart and try not to let them Velcro back to each other. And I'll bring my red thread, since it is a red-bodied fly as well as a red head fly, but I'm going to use some red floss. This is actually 240. And so I'll wrap that back to where I've got that tail started. Bring my thread back up to the front, and then I'll just wrap. Keep those tails separated, and then I'm going to wrap up that nice, smooth, even mayfly. And I don't know why the Irish decided that this should have a red body. I guess they have a mayfly, a drake, that's red, since this is an old Irish pattern that did come to the United States and was obviously adopted in the States and used enough so that Mary included it in her book of famous flies. Let's wrap a nice even body. It's got that sheen to it. And then wrap up over the end of that floss and clip that out. I'm never quite sure with Mary's flies if I should tie the hackle in first or the wing in first, but I'm going to go ahead and tie the hackle in first. So I have this brown hackle feather. It's actually a hen neck feather. I'm going to clip the fibers at the beginning of the, or at the butt of the hook to make those little barbed end there, to tie that in, and then I'll wrap up over that. Keep it away from the eye and wrap back a little bit. And then I'll grab that with my hackle plier and we'll put a few wraps of hackle. Now I did tie it with the dull side towards the hook and see if I can get it to wrap properly so that those, no, it's not. It flipped on me. Well, it'll be okay. Try to do it so that the barbs will lay back, but I'll make that happen with thread wraps here in just a second. So that's probably enough. So I suspect, as from what I've heard, that in the 1890s and before, there wasn't a big distinction between dry flies and wet flies. And this is kind of tied more like a wet fly than it is a dry fly. But that hackle is kind of like halfway between what we would today consider a true rooster hackle for dry flies and what we would use for a wet fly. I'll just try to get those to lean back a little bit. Grab that tip and snap it out of there. And those tail fibers are just not wanting to stay apart, but not too bad. I'm using duck for the wing, so I have matching pairs that I've cut a section out of, put them back to back, tip to tip, back to back, And I think I'm going to put them on the hook so that that point comes down and is flat across the top. Try to separate the hackle fibers on top of the hook. Lay those down inside of those hackle fibers. Go ahead and pinch that, and then I'll do a pinch wrap and secure that wing. I'll go ahead and wrap underneath of it. And then I'll clip out the butt ends. And wrap up over the top of that. I did just recently hear a suggestion to start at the eye and then wrap backwards up over the head. That helps to keep that thread from falling down over the eye again. And maybe a little bit bigger head than I want, but kind of in keeping with Mary's flies. It is a fairly substantial head, or she had to do it more because of tying in that gut stuff that they used to attach to their fly line since they didn't have eyes on their hooks. Alright, put a whip finish on that, clip out my thread, and then we'll put a little bit of head cement. I do use a diluted goop. Stick a needle in my jar, pull out a drop, and just drop that on the head, and that'll soak in and keep that knot secure. Yeah, so we managed to keep 3 separate tails. And we have the brown Caughlan.